It's Friday, August 11th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do you know where Nick Bosa is? I don't know. I tell you what, Jed York's being sued. We got to talk about that. And the 49ers versus Raiders joint practice number 2 is right now. You're going to get live updates right now. Stick around right here on the Wayne Breezie Show.
We so bright that we shining. All we know is the Niners. Red and gold at its finest. We so faithful to the bay. We so bright that we shining. All we know is the Niners. Red and gold at its finest. We so faithful to the bay. Yeah.
What's going on? It's your boy Wayne Breezie. Shout out to everybody out there. Gotta do the air horns right now. What's poppin'? I see the Breezy Bunch crews in the building, and we're gonna start the show off. Black Orchid 772 has become a new member. Let's go. Let's go. That Faithful to the Bay got a bop. It got a bop. It got a bop. I know it got a bop. You got to keep it short and sweet. It got a bop. But thank you so much for becoming a member. I see you're up there on the Silvers package. I appreciate you. Let's go. Look. The practice is taking place as we speak. I'm going to talk to you about some things, and then I'm going to bring you guys up on the show. John Chapman is in Vegas as we speak, so we couldn't be here today, but we're going to have some fun on today's episode. Nonetheless, we got to talk about the quarterback situation. I'm hearing reports about the quarterbacks just... We're going to leave it at that. Listen, if you're watching the stream, make sure you hit that like button first and foremost, all right? And if you're new to the stream, all right, very new, you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, all right? All right? Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Feel free to join the Breezy's Bunch crew, all right? All right, make sure you guys do that. It's at The Wayne Breezy. Simple, all right? You can listen to it if you're listening to it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, their podcast. If you're listening to it, man, make sure you go ahead and leave a nice little comment, like a review. A review would do us wonders. The numbers seem to be doing very well on the podcast. I didn't know people even listen to me, but thank you. I appreciate it. So make sure you guys leave some type of feedback or rating or whatever it is they ask you to do over there. You can follow on all the social medias, all right? You can follow on X. You can subscribe there as well at The Wayne Breezy, as well on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook at The Wayne Breezy. The exclusive content will be popping very shortly on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Wayne Breezy. All right. And listen, if you guys haven't purchased the song, you want to purchase the song, man, look, I got 2 artists on that joint. I don't care about me getting paid. I got to make sure that I put some money in their pockets. All right. Shout out to Lake City Fresh. Shout out to Travis King. If you can't find the song, I know it's on iTunes Music. You can purchase it. It's only 99 cents. And I'm sure it's on Amazon Music and all the other music platforms out there. It's definitely there for streaming. Help me do this. Purchase the song. And if you have the streaming service, all right, make sure you find a way to help it get it on one of those 49ers playlists for this season, man. I'm asking you to help me. All right, if you could do that, that'd be super appreciated, all right? So check out Faithful to the Bay. You heard it in the intro on today's show, all right? Look, a lot to get to, all right? I want to talk about some things that happened on yesterday. I see people asking me some questions. Oh, I got to shout out the Breeze Bunch crew. Hold up, let's rewind. Select the my man Boss is in the building. Let's get it, Niners. Jimmy look good out here. Yo. He dicing. Jimmy threw his first interception today, though, and it wasn't to a linebacker. But Jimmy did something else towards a linebacker that was detrimental to his own team. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But shout out to you, boss. I appreciate it. Eddie G and the B-Dogs in the place to be. What up, faithful football is here. Let's effing go. Marty Marr, 49er Empire. Good afternoon, 49er Empire. Let's go. Troy Noah in the building. Happy Friday. My Breezy Bunch family with the hashtag Peachy Brown in the building. Good morning, everyone. Thank God it's Friday. Let's have a great show today. It's joint practice, day 2. Turn up. Let's get it poppin'. You already know. Jax Knox is in the building. Hello, Breezie and the Faithful. Have a great, great, great show. Don't bother me. Good morning, Faithful. Mike Ing with the hashtag BB. My aunt, Uncle Scott in the building. What's up, Breezie? What's good, Uncle Scott, man? I'm hoping things are great with you on your end. And if I missed any other Breezy Bunch crew members, I see my man Colin in here. Shout out to you. Sean starts the show off with the first super chat contribution. Sean says, what up, fam? Should we expect more intro? Why does Grant hate us white people? No, I'm trying to keep the intro to a certain time. All right. But you could go get the song and then you could play the whole 3-minute joint. You know what I mean? So it's simple. It's just going to tease you. Going to tease you a little bit. Shout out to Cali. My man Dre's in the building. I see my man Johnny Dell in the building as well. He has a quick question. Wayne, bro, the fan drama is crazy. We need real games in the back. Listen, I Hurricane 774, what's good, fam? I understand. Like, we need... Preseason ain't even going to do it. Preseason is going to be such of a tease, right? People are going to be like, that was it? And then they're going to look for it. Like, Denver's not going to matter and the Chargers. We need week 1 Pittsburgh talk as quickly as we can get. Okay, as quickly as we get. All right. Don't feel free to put some updates in there. I have a list of updates on what's going on in today's camp, and I'll try to star them and get to them as well, man. But thank you for the super chat contribution, Sean. Let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty of the show. I definitely want to get you guys on here so you could talk about how camp, what you're seeing in camp. Heard a lot of stuff happened yesterday, and I think the worst thing that happened yesterday was the fact that the Niners they had a lot of drops. And we're going to start today's show off with some news. I heard from Matt Barrows that Robert Bill Jr. is back in practice, so he's no longer on the little injury report that we've been talking about. But, all right, the team signed defensive lineman Breeland Speaks, all right, and they placed cornerback Anthony Everett on the injured reserve. Now, Terrence Mitchell was on the injured reserve, and he was released, and they had an injury settlement. This may be the same thing that happens to Anthony Everett as well. He's on the IR as of right now, and the 49ers, he didn't make the roster, so they're probably going to do an injury reserve or injury settlement with him, and then he would be terminated. His contract will be terminated for the San Francisco 49ers. But they did bring in another defensive lineman. And I know a lot of people are like, why do we keep signing these defensive linemen? Now, Speaks he played for the USFL Panthers. All right. So he did lead the league in sacks. He had 9 sacks. Okay. He had 9 sacks. You stupid. I see that. What language does Speaks speak? Say that fast 3 times. What language does Speaks speaks? What language does Speaks speaks? What's going on, Coach Cruz? What language does Speaks speaks? I don't know. But yeah, that's a good question. We'll have to ask him very shortly. But yeah, man, they signed his defense. Now he's a former 2nd-round draft pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. Terrence, what's going on, baby? Former 2nd-round draft pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. So the Niners got another defensive lineman. Listen, they're continuing to add depth around that. But does that mean all right. Why do we keep adding defensive linemen? Like that's my question. Hold on. Don't answer it yet. Do not put an answer inside the chat as of yet. All right. That's the latest in 49ers news. Let's talk about the injuries, man. Ray McLeod just suffered a broken left wrist. All right. And he's going to be out for 8 weeks. 8 whole weeks. Now, bad news for Ray McLeod. Somewhat, I would say, good news for some of the depth at the wide receiver position, as well as Deshaun Jameson. The 49ers may keep an extra corner and stick with one less. I don't know what they're going to be doing as far as their depth chart. But listen, as far as the wide receivers, look, Tay Martin, Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray, and none of these guys are locks. You would think Danny Gray's a locks draft pick. If you're going to say the same thing about Gray, then you could say the same thing about Ronnie Bell. I will say this, update as today, Ronnie Bell is returning punts today. Let that sink in. He's returning punts today, so that's something to keep your eye on. But let's talk about these injuries, man. Ray McLeod, 8 weeks. Niners are pretty stacked there. Not going to say they're not going to miss him. He's a wide receiver. He to me, he was the third or fourth wide receiver, depending on which packages or which types of sets of wide receivers they wanted to put out. The Niners have a plethora of wide receivers, so they can put Jennings in the slot. They could put Ray in the slot. They could line Ray up in the backfield. He's going to be missed. He was another weapon, but he was definitely the kickoff return specialist as well as your punt return specialist. And so that's something you gotta have to replace. That's a big spot to replace. Not easy. All right. But 8 weeks, broken left wrist, man. Dang. So the injuries happened yesterday. I would say that was the biggest thing from yesterday. George Kittle has an adductor strain. He's gonna be out for about a week. Now, he didn't practice yesterday, so this happened prior. All right. Drake Jackson, hamstring. I want to talk about Drake Jackson because when I was there at camp on Monday, Drake Jackson was dressed, but he didn't practice. It's like he didn't get in or something. Interesting, right? It didn't see him really get in. So I knew something was wrong. He tweaked something or something, but he didn't get in. And now we know he has a hamstring injury that he's nursing. Dre Greenlaw with a hamstring injury. Elijah Mitchell, we already know, is recovering from the adductor strain, so he should be good to go pretty soon or whatnot. But that's what we have up until today as far as injuries. I don't think there are any new injuries or whatnot. All right. Now, again, we're going to do some live updates. This is going to be fun. Now, look, this is not a race of who's the best, but, you want the best out there. Brock Purdy, to me, today is we're going to see the numbers reveal themselves at some point. But just an update, Brock Purdy has thrown 3 interceptions against the Raiders, their first team defense, all right? 3 interceptions against their first team defense. I have a little context. We'll break that down. But Purdy, so far today, I tell you what, the 49ers quarterbacks have thrown 5 interceptions today. 5. I do know Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown 1. Haven't heard any more other than the one he threw to Huff. But other than that, there you go. All right. So little update as we go along. Let's get into Jed York because when I read this, I was like, well, when it first came out, I was like, what? And then 49ers owner Jed York is being sued for inside trading. Now, let me break it down so you guys can understand what the heck is going on. So 49ers CEO Jed York is accused of covering up college cheating scandal, insider trading while on the checkboard. All right. He has 2 lawsuits. All right. Claim the Board of Check, the online educational company, they knew of the scandal. All right. Now, I would think if I am the nephew of the former owner of the San Francisco 49ers, which to this day, I still don't know, other than I guess he was betting on his team. I still don't get why it was such a bad thing then. I know why now. You can't do it now, man. Don't bet, period. If you're going to play in the NFL, just don't bet. Don't even bet. Don't even make a bet with me. You know what I mean? Don't even make a bet with me. All right? Just don't bet. But I didn't think what Andy Barlow did back in the day should have, anyway, I just felt like he should have known from family lineage that, money doesn't solve everything. What do you guys think is going to happen to Jed York? Is he going to can you suspend an owner? I'm curious to know. Now I need you guys to respond. Black Orchid said Eddie D was pardoned. So he was let go on a deal? But what did he? I guess every time I know what they do, I know what he did, but I just don't get why it was such a bad thing. Anyway, it is what it is. Here we go. Jim Everett, the Rams fan. Jed is a cheater like Eddie D. I mean, My man 49er Jeff, what's going on, baby? He says it's going to be a huge fine. I just want to know if they're going to take anything from him. Will they take this is outside of football, so they really technically can't charge him first round draft picks or things like that, right? Johnny, my man Johnny Dale says Eddie D got in trouble for not reporting. Oh, that's what it was. I didn't know. All right, hold on. Eddie D got in trouble for not reporting a felony. I thought it was something totally different. He didn't report an official from Louisiana who made him pay $250K for a gambling license. So he got in trouble for not reporting. What was the felony? Paying for the license? Is that what the felony was? Just curious to know. Just a little talk, like just to kind of like take our minds off of little football talk or whatnot. But hey, I tell you what, Eddie D, Jed York, it's all in the family. That's kind of like how I look at it. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that. It's all in the family. They got to figure it out, though, because this doesn't look good to me. So, like, when you talk about image, there it is. Okay. Oh, so like the stuff we saw in the Ozarks. So the Ozarks was probably based around Eddie D. Bam. That's all I needed to know. That's it. Didn't know it was extortion. I didn't know he was trying to extort. Blah, 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 whatever. Got it. Oh, and so Black Orchid says he received the presidential pardon, so they should take him. I don't think Eddie D. I feel like Eddie's penalty was that the 49ers can be good, but they're not allowed to win. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. All right. So, look, something interesting to take our minds off of some of the other stuff, man. If you don't want to talk about injuries, you can look at what's going on with Jed York, 49ers owner. But he'll probably get a huge fine, like 49er Jeff said, and they'll keep it moving. Now, let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers, because here's my question of the day. Today's August 11th. I'm looking at my watch so it can remind me that today's August 11th. Now, I believe August 13th was the latest a 49er hadn't signed their extension. I believe that was George Kittle, August 13th. So that's 2 days from now. So that would be on the Sunday of the game, right? Tomorrow and then Sunday. So game day. So the question is, when will Nick Bosa sign his extension? Now, the 49ers are signing all of these defensive linemen. They're bringing them in. They're doing all this work. I know they said that they're not worried about Nick Bosa signing or whatever. Oh, my gosh. Brock Purdy with another interception. All right. We'll try to get the context behind everything that's going on with my man Brock. Maybe they just that Raiders defense. I know he threw one to Marcus Peters. That I do know. I have it right here, so we'll go through it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this. So I'm curious to know, like, what's good with Nick Bosa. What's going on with the language? Why no one seems to really be budging? I know they don't need Nick Bosa for camp or whatever or whatnot, but at some point, my only concern. So I do have a concern from Nick Bosa. Here, you want to know what my concern is? My only concern is he has to still get into football shape. That's my only concern. He has to still get into football shape. What does that mean? That means his body's got to get acclimated to the speed of the game, the hits, all that type of stuff. That's my only concern. Like, that's it. Other than that, I know. I thought he signed earlier. Hurricane, can you send me the article showing me that he signed? He didn't sign till August 29th. If this is the case, we won't see Nick Bosa until damn near September 11th or whatever the day we play. That's the case. Yeah. If that's the case, if you're right, then we're not going to see him. But remember, here's my thing, right? And I was talking to Coach Cruz about this, and the issue with not being here, and I know he needs his money. This is not about his money. It's just more about, like, how valuable he is and how well he will be able to respond to contact, because this is where a lot of the soft tissue injuries can come in to play, right? Just a little nagging soft tissue injuries, you know what I'm saying? Nothing huge, just little nagging things, because your body is being thrown right into the fire. All right, my man Don't Bother Me says, Wayne, how is he getting in football shape by not practicing? I know that I feel like I'm asking the same question. Maybe I didn't pose it right, but that's the question I'm asking. That's why I'm saying Nick Bosa. I know he's going to be great, but how is he going to be in football shape? Not health shape, football shape. If he's not bang, 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 bang. Pause, 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 pause. I don't know. But you know what I mean. Contact. Can I get a hit? Boom, bip. Shout out to my man Taryn. This is my brother, man. Shout out to you, man. What's going on, bro? Super chat contribution. He says, receiving confirmation that players in the locker room were upset by Trey coming in to score TDs on certain packages is wild. Gotta question if they truly believe that all they care about is getting the W. Interesting. Receiving confirmation that players in the locker room were upset by Trey coming in to score TDs on certain packages is wild. Gotta question if they truly believe that all they care about is getting the dub. The only thing that the 49er players should want to do is get the dub. That's it. I don't think it should matter how. I think getting the W is the only thing that matters. But this will be wild. Now, you heard Jimmy Garoppolo talk about, when they drafted Trey Lance, it was awkward. We knew it was awkward, Jim. You looked awkward. You spoke awkward. You sounded awkward. You played awkward. Trey Lance's rookie season was awkward. Matter of fact, when Trey Lance came in and scored, Jimmy must have cried or something, because that was the end of the dual quarterback in San Francisco. Remember Kyle Shanahan? It looked like he might use two quarterbacks, and then all of a sudden, here comes Kyle, and Kyle says, hey, it's too complicated to run the two quarterback system. Well, Kyle, let me ask you this question. How is it that complicated when the New Orleans Football Saints have been running it ever since they got Taysom Hill, and they had one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the sport at one time, Drew Brees? I don't think that coach thought it was complicated, and it wasn't all Sean Payton either, because they've had they had a head coach after Payton. I don't remember them saying it was complicated, but all of a sudden, bringing Trey Lance in on a couple of packages to make the defense not know what the hell is coming at them, you get a touchdown out of it, and it's complicated. It's just weird to me. I don't know if the players, I don't know. It's just super weird to me. But Nick Bosa, man, look, I know none of us are worried about him signing, but I'm worried about him returning and being able to play at a high level without going through the conditioning portion of the NFL. I think that, I don't know how to say it any better than that. I remember when I played football, I hated the first 2 weeks of football. There were no pads. It was all conditioning. And then when you got your pads, then that's when you got into the physical contact portion of the game. Before, it was building your muscles, building endurance, building the wind, making sure, you're not pulling hamstrings. It was all conditioning, basically. And then after that, you put the pads on. So, look, I know we're not worried about him signing. He's definitely going to sign to the team. That's not the issue. The issue is win. And so if what Hurricane 774 said about him, if it's about his brother Joey not signing to August 29th, then you know what? We might as well just go ahead and put Nick Bosa on some ice, which makes sense why the Niners, there are no injuries to the defensive line other than Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson has a little hamstring injury. But they're bringing in interior guys. Look, at the end of the day, they're going to continue to bring in guys. That means other guys are going to go. Other guys are going to go. Interesting. Joker has a question. He's a Breezy Bunch club member. He says, can the Niners just trade Trey so he can develop under a new team? Oh, that's right. They're hedging their bet. Is that illegal to hedge? I don't know. I'm not a gambling person. Just curious to know. I don't think it is, but those that know how to do it better than I do. Right. It's obvious this team, fans don't want him here. It's not all the fans. It's not all the fans. It's not all of us. Like, people want to see Trey get an opportunity. And then if Trey's not getting the opportunity, it just looks like his opportunity window is closing, but it's the NFL. So like, remember I keep saying, like, look, like, I'm all for starting Brock Purdy. He proved he can win on an NFL level consecutively. That's the word. Back to back to back to back to back. Right. And then he took it to the higher NFL level and won in the playoffs until he was injured. Right. So I'm cool with that. My thing is, Trey, the only thing Trey got to do is continue to be ready. That's it. That's it. Look, careers flash. Injuries happen all the time. The 49ers had like 2 injuries going into this joint practice, like 2. And now they came out of that joint practice. Before the joint practice even started, right? They ended up having like 7, 8. And one's going to be out. One player, and Ray McCloud, is going to be out for 8 weeks. But look, it's not all the fans. I just wish we just support the QBs. So at this time, whoever's QB1, we got to give that person the support. And then support the remaining of the people on the team. I think that's what it comes down to. So look, we don't care about pretty much yesterday. I mean, we heard about the interceptions yesterday. You heard about the drop passes. There's a poll question going on. All right. And the question is, what do the 49ers need to look to improve on day 2? Less drops, sacks. I thought I put snacks. That means I'm hungry. Interceptions and touchdowns. Interceptions and touchdowns. Now, I tell you what, it's almost at that 30-minute mark. I see a couple of questions out there. I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that I pretty much starred, and then I'm going to go ahead and invite you guys on. All right, and then we'll talk for about 30 minutes. Okay. So let's go ahead and I see one from Peachy. All right, she had a dope question. Where did I do with it? All right. So Peachy says, when do we become concerned with the QB1's interceptions? Well, I'm just going to generalize it. Like, I'm concerned with interceptions all across the board. But you're right. When you put that title of QB1 in there, when do you become concerned? Now, I would say probably never, because Jimmy Garoppolo used to turn the ball over like crazy in practice, right? Crazy in practice. And it's, what's going on, Melissa? And it's, it is what it is. No, like crazy in practice. So in the real games, he turned the ball over as well. So I can understand why there's a concern, but I just don't think that they move on from it. Now, I've been trying to tell everybody that, and then this is a joint practice. Okay, this is a joint practice. That's a vanilla defense against a vanilla offense. The word vanilla means they not showing you. Okay, I just want you to understand that it's basic, super basic. I mean, I forgot Kyle Shanahan is super complicated, but super basic. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. If you're tuning into the show, you just jumped on. Hit the thumbs up, man. Give it a thumbs up. Super basic, right? But dang, Brock, what are you not seeing? Okay, what are you not seeing? Now, are you throwing into like one-on-one coverage and the defender is just making a great play on the ball? See, that's the context we don't have. Are you throwing across the middle? You're missing the accuracy's not there. See, we don't have that context. It's unfortunate that we don't have that context. But I will say this: it should be a concern, PG. Like it should be a freaking concern. But it is practice. Get the interceptions out now. That's the upside. All right, get the interceptions out now, and then hopefully when you see them, you learn from your mistakes. I mean, how else can you learn from your mistakes? Now, if I'm not mistaken, in this practice, as of right now, Brock has 4 interceptions. 4. If I'm not mistaken, Brock has 4. Lance has 1. Darnold has 1. I don't know the reps between Lance and Darnold as of yet. You know that they split that second tier of reps. I don't know. All right. So QB2 threw a pick. He did. And so did QB3. But Brock has 4. So like, The interceptions are there. Now, it's funny because we asked for less drops. A lot of people were saying, I want less drops. And now the receivers aren't even getting a chance to catch the ball. All right. So when I'm looking at the updates right now from the source. And let's see who picked off. Marcus. Wait. So Robert Spillane picks off Brock Purdy. Second interception in 11 on 11. So he has 2 interceptions in 11 on 11s and 2 interceptions from the 7 on 7s. All right. So I just want you guys to know there's a difference between 11 on 11s and 7 on 7s. Now, guys, if you know the power of prayer and a word of prayer, just pray for Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. Okay, please pray for him. He has a right leg injury per the report. If you guys don't know what happened, Jimmy Garoppolo led him into a slant, which led him right into Oren Burks. And now they had to help him off of the field. So please, again, pray for Davante Adams. Pray that he remains healthy and to a speedy recovery for Davante Adams. Thank you. Sure, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So you guys know I detest. I don't want to say the word hate. I detest injuries. Detest them. I cannot stand injuries. All right. So we'll continue the live updates. There's the link right now, man. You guys could jump on the show. If you want, if you're watching on Facebook, you should be able to click the link. YouTube, you can click the link. If you're watching on Facebook, man, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you aren't subscribed on Facebook, make sure you just like the page that you're watching it on. All right. So make sure you guys do that. I do know that the pressers are going to be starting right after practice. So we'll make sure that we keep the show for a power hour. All right. But there's the link, man. Let's talk about the joint practice versus the Raiders. I want to get you guys' thoughts so far. Jim Everett said that the Niners is okay. I see Miss Leslie's in the background, so let's go ahead and get you on. You let me know when you're ready, and I'll bring you in. Oh, there it is. I saw the switch. There we go.
Hi. I've missed you guys.
Oh, man, you have been missed.
Yeah, thank you. You've asked some really interesting questions this morning. I tend to find myself leaning more towards the kind of analysis that a Dave Lombardi does. It's happening in practice. If it happens in practice, that's where it's supposed to happen, if that makes any sense. If we're going to get the kinks out, get them out now. I have to tell you, I really like Brock. I'm so glad that he's back at the level that he's playing already. But, I'm also one of those people that got the Trey area T-shirt the minute that Trey was landed at the field. Because I'm not just a 49er fan. I'm one of the faithful. And the faithful will root for whoever's under center. That's what we do. We're not just fans. We're the faithful. And, frankly, if it turns out that a real analysis, this is where I trust Kyle Shanahan, an analysis of the QBs that we've got shows that Trey should be QB1, then by golly, when I'm there on October 1st in the stands, I will be cheering for Trey. Just like I did when Jimmy was playing, just like I did when Trey was playing before, and just like I did when Brock took over. Let's face it, I even cheered for what's his name when he came in the Eagles game.
Josh Johnson.
Here, yeah,
you did,
yeah.
I'm
with
you.
But you know what I'm saying. So I think that while yes, you're always concerned about the basics, are the basics being met, or all these things. I always try to keep in mind this is practice. Let's get the practice stuff out. Also, if I understood that neither Brock nor Jimmy were going to be playing in the Raider game, am I incorrect?
So I know Brock's not going to play. I don't expect Jimmy Garoppolo to play either. I mean, they'll probably go with the rookie Aiden O'Connell or whatever. I don't expect the starters in the first preseason game. It's the second game. That's the dress rehearsal game. I think that they'll get reps.
Yeah. And as for Nick Bosa, I have no doubt that he's like at home in the backyard lifting,
Cars.
buffaloes every day. I mean, the
She
guy
said
is like
buffaloes.
an action figure, like somebody said. But I'm hoping that he gets signed soon, just so like you can say he can put the pads on and get to practice, because he needs to be practicing. He needs to start hitting people, and that's what we need.
First of all, Jimmy looks like a lights out quarterback. Let me remind, not you, not anybody in the behind stage. Let me remind y'all that the pressure man isn't on the team right now. Let me just remind you. So I get Max Crosby's winning his reps against Colton McKivitz. Okay, fine. I got it. No problem. He's not winning them against Trent. But I will say this. On the opposite side, Jimmy is probably getting more time than he's ever seen in his entire life. Because when he was here, guess who was here? Nick Bosa. That means there was pressure coming from one side to where Jimmy was only limited. So, Jimmy, enjoy your fruits of camp labor at this point.
Absolutely. Get it, have some fun. Go get yourself a smoothie afterwards. Hit the casinos. You're fine, because you are not really doing the deal. So, but meanwhile, I think it's going to be fun on Sunday. I'm really going to be sitting in front of the TV, really watching those rookies. I want to see what we've got. And it looks like the report is that Devontae's going to be okay. I love that kid. He was fun to watch when he was here in California. So
yeah. But nonetheless, I just don't like injuries. I don't care how they happen. I don't care if he broke a toenail. Like,
I know.
It's just an injury. Let's just pray, because things nag. I'm curious to see how he ran into Oren Burks. Is Oren Burks just a tree? Like he was like, I got it, just bam. Like, what happened?
Exactly.
I'm curious to see what happened later on when we read the reports. But I'm glad that he's getting a thumbs up and he's doing okay. That's really great.
So it's good to see you.
You too, always. I'm really close to starting a GoFundMe to get Miss Peachy out here to do a live broadcast before a game. I think we need to get that woman up here in front of the Levi Stadium, in front of the Joe Montana statue, and let's all do it. Let's get her up here. Let's do it. Let's
stay
do
at
it.
my house.
Just include me in that GoFundMe. I need help to get out there too. It's expensive. Woo, Jesus, the plane tickets.
I have to tell you, I was all excited because I got this little thing from the 49ers that said, you can buy this special ticket to do something special before the game, right? And then you got all these choices. You can be down on the field to talk to the alumni. You can do that. And then there was one, you can buy a ticket to be in the tunnel to say, as the guys are coming out. So I'm going on the first, with about 25 of my closest friends. And so I like going, hey, that's what we'll do. We'll just throw some little extra cash. What the heck? Well, we're spending our kids' inheritance. We don't care. Let's go look and see. $500 to go stand in the tunnel. I'm like, you know what? They can darn well walk out there all by themselves. I will clap them in. Bless their hearts. No.
I love the humor, Miss Leslie. Thank you. Appreciate you. Now, what do you get? You get live humor comedy on the Wayne Breezie show. It ain't from me. That was funny. She said they can keep the $500 and they could walk out the tunnel by their lonesomes. Man, $500. I tell you what, though, if I had found a way to come across $500, I would have been there, Miss Leslie. That's the tunnel. That's what I would have had my own boombox. Hey, superstar. I'd have been out there I would have been playing Faithful to the Bay. I would have been playing something, but we would have had fun. I got my brother right here, man. You ready, baby? Let's go. What's going on, baby?
What's going on?
So I just want to put this out here right now. You look like you on First 48. Now I don't know if you know what that show is. You don't know what First 48. Okay, so right now you look like you're a criminal and you don't want, or an informant. More freak the criminals. The criminals don't care what they look like. You look like an informant right now, but it's dope. It's fire. I just want you to know that's how you look.
Yeah, I know. I've been kind of working on some setup stuff, so
We're going to get it right. It's just the sunlight. Yeah. It's the way the sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to get you a ring light. We're going to do that. We're going to get you a ring light, and then you be good to go. But just want to know you look like you on First 48. And all you need is the voice simulator. The thing that you're, so what are the water? You just got to change your voice. Then you be good. What's going on, man? I'm sorry. I had to be comical because Leslie gave it to me, and so I'm just gonna pass it down to the next person or what. So, but man, how did training camp treat you? And how are you taking all this in? What's going on with the camp, the joint practice against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, with the training camp, I've been really hyped for what Jair Brown's been looking like. I mean, we haven't
Yes,
heard a
sir.
whole lot from him, but it's just like he's working with Steve Wilkes. He's worked with Talanoa Hufanga, which is just great to see there. I think it was like maybe the first day or a couple days after I remember hearing that he was the first guy out with Hufanga. So he's probably the rookie I'm most excited for, but it's sounding like this offensive line struggling a little bit, especially where Colton McKivitz is at, which has obviously been the biggest question because I feel like we feel pretty good about the rest of the offensive line and also with Spencer Burford, right? Getting a little bit bulkier. I think that's going to help a lot. So really, it's just, yeah, Colton McKivitz. I mean, we'll see. It is only practice as well. Maybe something, maybe a switch ends up turning on, during the games, and possibly he's even better. So hopefully with that, but with Herrera McLeod, yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
I-
Prayers out to him,
for
but
sure. The good news is it's 8 weeks.
yeah,
And then he returned. Now I'm trying to figure out how they're going to work that because like if you go on the IR before the season starts, doesn't that mean you can't make the team? You're out for the whole season. But if you make the roster and you go on the IR, it's after that date. You know what I mean? If you go on the
hmm
IR, then I think you're good, and then they can, So it's gonna be. So he's gonna have to take up a roster spot, right?
I believe so. Because I don't remember. Yeah, because I think all the guys they ended up putting on IR like last year, they were out for the season. So
You're gonna get the most comments from this show. I just look like the new player you need to unlock. Yo, they are hilarious in the chat. Yo, this chat is by far. I go on a lot of chats. But this one, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not ranking.
no,
That's
it's all
them.
good.
Yeah. It'll be crazy if you had like the outline, then you'll look like an avatar or something like that. You know what I mean? But hey, this is what's up. Look, I just when you're looking at this team, I'm seeing a lot of upside, right? Especially
hmm
on the defensive side. I know the offensive side is going to probably take a second to kind of like
Yeah,
gel. You were talking about Colton McKivitz, and you see that the pressures are coming from like Max Crosby, who's a top five defensive end in the league.
yeah.
Don't they have Chandler Jones too? Like, I
Yeah, but it's
mean,
sounding like he has, at least we haven't heard his name, so I don't know if
what?
he's even practicing or not.
No, I think Chandler. Yesterday there was the one-on-one reps. I felt like he beat McKivitz in his one-on-ones, but that's Chandler Jones. He's gonna do like
hmm
he's gonna come at you low, then spin backwards, put the hand to the ground, and get around. Like you know what I mean? That's Chandler Jones, and
Yeah,
one
I
of the
mean, he's
greatest
also
pass
the
rushers.
veteran, so obviously
And
he's gonna know like
exactly,
what to do.
exactly. So for me, this is great because you want Colton McKivitz getting whipped into shape. Every pass rusher isn't going to be
The same.
like exactly. They're not going to be like Max Crosby or Chandler Jones, who to me is a top 10 defensive end in the league. Like so he's going to get some tough matchups, but as of right now, like get whipped into shape, young fella. Like that's what you need. He's better against the big guys that don't have the speed. That's what I
hmm
would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I know you were talking about Nick Bosa. Honestly, I'm getting a little bit worried because I thought that signing would probably happen by now, but that's just kind of based on the history with the 49ers, right? Like getting signed at the beginning of training camp. So I don't know. I'm getting a little bit concerned, but let's hope Nick Bosa is able to come back. I guess the important thing is that we hope he's in shape and able to start this season. So
I just want to show you all your comments. I told you you were getting the most comments I've ever had on this show. This is hilarious. But no, seriously, man. Like I agree. Like, but again, my only concern is shape, football shape. That's it. My only concern, football shape. Like honestly, let's talk about the quarterbacks and their interceptions because Leslie talked about it's practice, and then I got to get TC on here. But she talked about, hey, it's practice. Like get them out. Now, honestly, I feel like as the faithful, we've been consistent. We just don't want to see interceptions. Period. We don't care if it's practice. We don't care if it's backyard football. We don't care if we don't care. Stop throwing the damn interceptions. I think that's where we are. But what are your thoughts on the quarterback interceptions right now? Brock Purdy has 4, and practice is still taking place.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say because obviously we don't know what the circumstances are in terms of, oh, is he throwing into tight windows or is he just not seeing the defender, or like is he not feeling as confident in his arm because obviously he's coming off that injury, right? Maybe his arm's just still not as strong, so maybe things are floating a little bit more. Like we don't really know the context with that. And also I'm gonna bring this guy up, but Jimmy Garoppolo had 5 interceptions in a practice a few years ago, and I didn't see any of that in the game. So I think we're gonna be okay. It's gonna be more interesting. Like if he throws that in a game, yeah, obviously I'm gonna be concerned. But it's practice right now. I think we shouldn't have to be as concerned.
I hear you. I hear you. Terradome says, I knew something was going to happen when he shook hands with Janky Jimmy. Listen, I think the main difference is, I mean, I hear they're missing Chandler Jones didn't practice today, but Crosby's probably out there on the right side. He's not going to be on Trent Williams' side. I mean, you know what I mean? So I don't know what the pressures are looking like. I heard there was a few would-be sacks or whatnot. But listen, bro, I thank you for jumping on. I'm going to get these other guys up here very quickly. I appreciate you. Hey, man, plug your shows real quick.
Yeah, appreciate you for always doing these shows, just letting us all in. I really enjoy those. But yeah, you guys can find me at The Shaw Show on Twitter and then on YouTube at The Shaw Show Pod, and also on Instagram at The Shaw Show. But appreciate you, Breezie.
Thank you. Have a great day, bro.
You too. Peace.
All right, man. Listen, I told you he was on first 48. The moment he jumped in, it was dark. But listen, let me get my man TC on here. TC, what's going on, baby? I don't think TC was ready. There he is.
Can you hear me, brother?
Did you just flush the toilet?
Nah. I didn't flush the toilet.
It's all good. I shouldn't even ask that question, but you know that's my fault. So
it's all good. Good.
I'm just gonna go on mute and just let you have the show for the next few minutes, man. Here, have your way, bro.
All right. So first of all, in my opinion, there's a lot of concerns, and I'm gonna jump out there. I don't, you know what I'm saying, with the whole faithful tip. I'm a diehard Niner fan, so I can't tell everybody how to fan, but I'm past the faithful situation with just believe in the Niners and let's just ride with them because we're Niner fans and we're faithful. The hell with that, bro. I'm with the both sides. In my opinion, what the whole Jed York doing. I don't know if you don't want to go into, but look at that. That kind of like brushed under the rug what Jed York was doing. So I don't know if that's holding up his contract. In my opinion, it is. Also, since he's been in training camp, since he's been the real deal and healthy, that's concerning. He has 4 today. If he continues to throw these interceptions, it should be an open, in my opinion, it should be an open competition for QB1 regardless of the 8 games. But I gave Brock the benefit of the doubt because he played well in those 7 games. But dude's been struggling. This should have been not an open competition between Sam and Trey. This should have been an open competition for QB1 in my opinion, bro. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're seeing. I'm wondering if the back-to-back days. Remember, Brock spoke about how he's trying to get through like these back-to-back days. I wonder if this is affecting his arm just a little bit. Like, and remember, he said his arm felt great. You know what I'm saying? And that, he's just out there, getting through the rehab and process. But I'm curious to know today if he comes out with the report. I'm sure he's not going to speak at the presser, but I'm curious if he feels a little bit sore because, he's not playing in Monday's game. I mean, in Sunday's game. And so Kyle Shanahan is ramping it up a little bit, and it looks like the Raiders defense is ramping it up a little bit. So they're giving him a real live game action. So I understand why it's a little concerning for the faithful. Like, why are you throwing these interceptions? I thought you were ready. You know what I'm saying? And D'Angelo, real talk. I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm just wondering if that's what's going on. Because remember, yesterday he said that he was great. He says feels great. I felt like he was repeating something Jimmy Garoppolo would have said. So I'm just curious to know if that's bothering him or whatnot. We don't have the context to know what he's seeing out there on the football field. So I can't really, break these down. But again, it's just practice.
Yeah, true.
Go ahead.
Yeah, true. But I mean, he's supposed to be the real, like 100%. And understand that's insane. And I feel crazy for a bit of I don't know games. Quarterbacks. Trey should have got his fair shot, and I don't even Sam is Sam, but Sam should even got. If y'all sign Sam, he should have had a fair shot at QB1, bro. Listen, I'm telling you, karma is biting Kyle in the butt, bro, and it's finna come back tremendously. I'm telling you, faithful, y'all better get ready and stop being blind.
I love you, bro. Listen, man, your connection is going in and out, so I'm gonna get the other guys on here. But listen, I appreciate you for calling in. I heard whatever you
Thank you.
needed to say happened at the end. It was perfectly said, and I appreciate you.
All right, peace.
All right, peace. Look, and you know what? It's funny because he's right. Like it should have been an open competition, but Kyle Shanahan didn't want to make it an open competition, and we don't know how Trey would be performing against the number one defense against the Raiders. But I'm sure it would be a little bit better than what we've seen or what we've heard so far on today. Let's get CJ, my man CJ Gray, on the show, man. What's going on, baby?
Doing a sound check. How good are we?
We, you great.
All right. Yeah, because sometimes that's challenging. I get all of the discourse around Brock Purdy, and I know that during regular practices, our practices, he's turned the ball over, and now he's in the joint practices with the other team, and he's turning the ball over too. And he seems to be doing it at a high rate against the Raiders. Um, Basically, I understand that there's alarm bells going off because he's turned the ball over. And I've been on record with the Case Keenum, the Nick Mullins, the Gardner Minshew, the Taylor Heineke, the those type of comparisons to Brock Purdy just because of size and stature and the arm talent type situation. But right now, even with me making those prejudgments about him, this is practice, and we kind of need to see games going because I don't know what extent of game planning goes into these joint practices with these quarterbacks versus what will go on for a regular season game that actually counts is on the line. Because generally Shanahan will scheme about half the quarterback's attempts wide open almost anyway, and or a check down of some kind. So he doesn't leave a lot of room for you to turn it over with the way he schemes things up. And if you just do what he tells you to do. Now, with that said, Jimmy did throw a bunch of interceptions, but Jimmy threw interceptions because Jimmy wouldn't take shots outside the numbers and it just crowded the middle of the field. And even with it crowded, Jimmy would throw it in there anyway. So we need to know how Brock is going to react in the games. Is he going to put the ball where the defense isn't and be tethered to what Kyle schemes up? And does he produce these turnovers when the live bullets come out? And then Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Well, I think, but the curiosity comes in like, okay, if he's doing it now, we're hoping he doesn't do it in a regular season game. And I
Absolutely.
think that's why a lot of a lot of fans are worried. Like, is he healthy? Is he good? Is he? We didn't see him turn the ball over a lot last year, right? And so like he hasn't
Yeah.
turned the ball over a lot this year in 2023 either. But right now, his interceptions, because he's getting a lot more production in practice, they're just higher. Like they're high right now. So we're hoping that it goes down because he's learning from his mistakes, or when he gets into a real life game, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I saw the Raiders do that. Nah, I'm good." Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're hoping for. But I don't know, man. It's a weird line to play against because the other quarterbacks, they got an interception, but they're not turning it over as much. They also aren't playing as much in
Playing,
practices. Yeah.
they're not practicing as much, and also they're not practicing the same level of competition, right, on a consistent basis as Brock either. And so I can I can have my preferences and stuff like that, but we always got to try to remain things in context of what they are. And then also, I haven't seen Brad Graham or Grant Cohn or anybody else come out, and I haven't viewed their post practice and seen exactly how, on the circumstances, how these interceptions were thrown either. As I think Niners media was pointing out as well. So, but Trey, ultimately, Trey should be getting more of an opportunity than he is. Um, if Brock is the real deal, as Shanahan has said he is, Brock has completed 7 games and Trey has completed 3 games. Trey was the starter; he got injured, and so it's so with these circumstances, I don't know if it was such a leap to just make Brock the starter right away, or put Brock into this high workload that he's in. So because this timeline of his injury is much more accelerated than what historically has been seen, the recovery from this injury and what was projected recovery for this injury as well. So so we just gotta kind of let it play out. That's what I was saying before these practices. We gotta let it play out. He gets out there in the regular season.
It sounds like his connection may be disconnected. I'm gonna give him a couple of seconds, but I just before I bring on our final guest, I guess when Jimmy was here, y'all we trashed him. I mean literally like bashed, trashed, said he sucked. Now Brock's getting the pass. I just don't understand why we're not consistent. Like that's my only issue is why aren't we consistent? Because when Jimmy threw 5 interceptions in practice, we trashed him all damn season long, right? But that year we ended up, getting to the Super Bowl. But my point is like, why is it that he got thrashed and Brock is getting the pass? That's a whole nother show, whole other question, and I'm curious to know. Let me get my man Taryn on here. What's going on, baby?
What up, man?
Chilling. Long time no see, man. I hope
Yes,
all is
sir.
well with you and the family, bro.
Yeah, everything's going good, man. I'm
That's
just
good.
laughing at stuff, all the guests. Like, man, his guests on here getting cooked. You know what
Yo,
I'm saying?
listen,
You got the green screen. You got the dude didn't
listen.
have the connection. Man, it's crazy. Yeah.
They hold no bars. Like they just go in. They don't care who it is. Like they just gonna let them have it. I think the one thing I like about the community here is they free. They speak their mind. You know.
Yeah.
um, let's talk about Let's talk about this. You are a 49ers connoisseur. I love your mindset. I love the way you break things down. I love the way you analytically pose certain questions. I'm curious to know what are your thoughts thus far against live action against a different team.
hmm You know what? Everybody's talking about the interceptions, and I feel like it's not a concern until it is. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I think, I heard you say before I came on, why is everybody trashing Jimmy about his 5 picks, and then you got Brock was getting a pass? I think one, you got Brock coming off an injury. to his throwing arm. So maybe they're just like, oh, he's rusty, he's rusty. I feel like it's gonna take him 2 to 3 weeks to get that rust off. You know what I'm saying? We're hitting that mark where it's almost a 3 week mark. And then two, you got Jimmy who was getting paid a lot of money, who was in his seventh, eighth year. Brock's coming into a second year, so I think that's probably why the trashing of Brock Purdy really isn't there yet. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. So maybe that's what
No,
I'm thinking it is.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good opinion.
And then
Like it's a
and
good
then
opinion.
I think just the way that Brock performed last year, especially in the playoffs, I think that's what separated him. Because I agree. Somebody in the chat said that Jimmy before injury last year was playing really well. You know what I'm saying? He was 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. You know what I'm saying? And then you have, he got hurt, and you had Brock come in to play the well he did. But I think Brock, the way he executed during the playoffs, maybe put him over the hump to where maybe that's why he's not getting as much criticism. You know what I'm saying? So
I
yeah.
agree, but but doesn't that show favoritism at some point? Like, so like this person gets a pass because they just
Mhm.
coming off an injury, and then this. I mean, Jimmy technically was coming back from an injury
Yeah, towards
too.
ACL too, right?
Yeah,
Was it was
I'm
it the year? Was it the Super Bowl year when he threw those 5 interceptions
that
in practice?
practice. Yeah,
That
that's when
practice?
we were
Okay,
like,
yeah,
oh.
that could be it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember saying like I thought Jimmy was gonna be the Don, and then the next year something else happened that following year, the year we went to Super Bowl, then he got hurt again.
Yeah, yeah. In 2020, he got hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, no, I feel exactly where you're coming from. But yeah, I guess it could come down to favoritism. I think a lot of people have their preferences, and let me just tell this to everybody. I'm on Twitter. That's the only social media platform I have. And it's just, it's a sad situation when people can't sit there and have a preference and then not be called a clown or an idiot or whatever the case may be just because you have a
talk
preference.
your talk, bro.
And yeah, me, Breezy. Me and you talked before the draft, before Trey Lance got drafted. Me and you were all in on Trey Lance. I still am. However, you know what? I'm fair. Brock Purdy deserves the right to start week one. However, I do agree with a lot of the people in the chat. It's a small sample. So I don't know if you saw my tweet. I had put something on my tweet today, and I said, with Brock Purdy playing as well as he did, should he have made the top 100? And
Mm,
everybody kept saying no, too small of a sample size, too small of a sample size.
okay.
That right there is perfect for me because if it's too small of a sample size, it should be open competition for these quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? If everybody, people who even advocate for Brock Purdy said no, he shouldn't have been top 100. He shouldn't have been top 100 because of the small sample size. So because he only played the 5 regular season games, I believe Trey should have had every opportunity. Kyle should say, Trey, you know what? Brock Purdy right now is QB1, but you will have the opportunity to take over depending on how you play. And I get it. And nothing takes away from game time. But if you have Trey improving his stock and looking better with his mechanics. This is the dude that you put your, that you really invested in. Why wouldn't you want to see him share snaps with your best weapons? You know what I'm saying? You obviously see something in him to advocate to swap a first and trade 2 others. See what he can do. He's never had an opportunity to play with CMC. See if they can create some chemistry and see what's going on. You know what I mean? And then let it be whoever wins can win on that situation. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even mad at that. It's like, I understand. Um, Kyle's looking at it as like, you know what? I won these many games with Brock. He deserves a chance to start. But like I said, I just think that you should. And I hear you, Collie. I argue about this with my coworkers all the time. We have a lot of 49er fans here in Vegas. So we talk and stuff. And it's split. Some people feel that it should be a QB competition. And some people feel like, no, it shouldn't be a QB competition. It's Brock. And this is what I don't like. And I think I told you this, Breezy. Why can't Brock Purdy do anything wrong to lose QB1, but Trey can't do anything good to get back to QB1? You feel where I'm coming from? Like a lot of people are like, nah, this is Brock's team. This is Brock's team. Whatever happens, I don't care if he goes 0-5. He's, whatever. Like I've heard people say that. Like, I don't care if he goes 0-5. This is his team. Like he just needs to,
It's
and I'm just
interesting.
like, wow. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's interesting to me. Like I said, it's 50-50. And I'm not saying anybody's right and anybody's wrong. You know what I'm saying? People can have their opinion and it is what it is. Like I said, I personally think Brock Purdy should be named QB1 until he's not, or he keeps it. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. So, I would like to be fair. And if it's to the point where you feel like, you know what, this is no longer your team, Trey, as long as Brock Purdy's healthy, this is his team, then trade the man. That's what I think. So,
Yeah.
what's your personal feelings on
Yeah,
that?
like I mean, very well, like I said, very well spoken. Look, Brock did the damn thing when his number
Yeah.
was called. He didn't let us down, so it's hard for me to go against that.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that happened to Brock to where you can say he let us down was he got injured, and he didn't get injured on his own. I mean, like stuff happened, and that was in hit the biggest game of his career. So I'm okay with him being the starting quarterback. But let's just keep it a book. Like you, myself, everybody out there, we don't know what Kyle Shanahan is doing. He's definitely assessing. He's looking at the stock of his picks rise, right? And so even if Brock is getting the first team reps, which today he got 39 first team reps, all his reps were with the first team per Matt Mayoko. Even though he's getting the bulk of everything, when Trey Lance gets out there, he's just got to keep stacking days, keep winning days, because his number is going to get called. This is the NFL. And Brock Purdy, in my opinion, just doesn't have the frame as a typical quarterback. So I'm not saying he can't play well, but there's probably more opportunity for him to go out there and maybe get a little dinged up. And if that happens,
Yeah.
Trey Lance, when his number is called, then he just got to be ready, bro, because
That's it.
Brock had to be ready. So this is how consistent I am. Brock had to be ready when his number was called. Now, Trey Lance needs to be ready when his number is called. And that's just
Fair.
the way it
Facts.
is. That's
Facts.
the NFL. That's kind of like what happens. And none of those dudes have crowned Aaron Rodgers status, or who's to me is like the last of the old people in the NFL. But none of them have crowned his status to where, oh, he got hurt, or when he come back, he the guy. I think it's a competition, but right now you got to go with the guy that you watched successfully
Win for you. Yeah.
win. I think that's just the way it
yeah.
is.
No, and you know what, and that's absolutely 100% right. And and I think the thing with Kyle, he's looking at it as, and we all know how much Kyle he loves timing, precision, all this other stuff. Like that's what he predicates his offense on. You know what I mean? That's why we led the NFL in yak. You know what I mean? Like we've led the NFL in yak. Like he expects his quarterback to throw 10 to 15 yards on time. And then that you let whoever the playmaker is, Kittle, IU, whoever it is, go and do work. You know what I'm saying? But here's my thing though. If Trey is stacking days, okay, and he's working on the intermediate route, short to intermediate stuff, and he's starting to perfect it, why shouldn't he get the opportunity to try to win? Because I'll say this and I'll stand by it. Trey can learn to clean up the things that Brock does well, but I don't think that Brock can do anything to learn to do what Trey can do, because you can't teach size, you can't teach speed, and you can't teach arm strength. But the intermediate routes, if Trey gets that down and he works on, and I feel like everything, I'm a believer in God, and I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe that Trey sitting back and seeing how Kyle executed his offense, he got to see it with two different quarterbacks. He saw it with Jimmy, and then he got to sit back and say, "Oh, okay, I see what Brock's doing. I see how we're averaging 34 points a game. He's making the quick reads, giving it to his playmaker. So if Trey can clean that up, I don't see why he doesn't get a shot. Like I said, Brock deserves, I'm going to say this again, Brock deserves to go in as a starter. But you can't have your blinders on and not think like, man, Trey has cleaned some stuff on. He's the dude I invested in. Okay, he hasn't worked with CMC. He had one NFL game with Kittle. Let me see what he can do. Even if you go 60-40 on the reps, and you say, man, Trey's looking good, whatever the case may be, then you can have an argument. But right now, yeah, I agree with everybody in the chat. I agree with you, Breezy. It's Brock's job to lose. But like I said, people shouldn't have that mindset of, oh, Brock can't do nothing to lose his job unless he gets injured, but Trey can't do anything to win his job back. I don't agree with that at all.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I understand totally where you're coming
Yeah.
from. It's just I'm not the coach.
Sure, oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I think the way you're thinking, but I will say this: Kyle has been consistent. So when Jimmy was the starting quarterback, Trey's reps was doo doo, but he took reps with the number 2 team. I don't know if you remember that, his rookie year. So he was getting a number 2 rep. So he surpassed that third string quarterback. And then the next season, Jimmy was supposed to be gone. Trey became the starter. who was the number 2 quarterback before Jimmy came here? Nate Sudfeld.
Nate Sudfeld, yep.
Right. So Kyle is consistent with who he makes number 1, if that makes sense. And they typically get the bulk of the first team reps. They get the first team reps, and then your number 2 gets factored in there. And then they brought Jimmy back. Jimmy didn't go take the first team reps when he came back. Guess who took all the first team reps last year? Trey Lance. So we gotta be that's the consistency that Kyle is showing. Like if I'm deeming you quarterback 1, then you get the quarterback 1 reps, and then everybody else has got to show me what they got to move up on the depth chart. So for me, all I'm saying, Trey, just keep stacking those days, bro, because when that opportunity knocks, then you need to seize the moment, carpe diem, bro. Like that's all he got to do. It's kind of like the way it is. Not that I agree with it. It's just the way Kyle runs things.
And I get it. Like Kyle's tired. Kyle is tired. Him and John both. They're tired of tasting success, but not hitting that sweet spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if you turn a cupcake upside down, you start eating it as sweet, but you get too full to where you can't get to the frosting. And you're just like, man, he hasn't got to that frost. He hasn't been able to win that success and hoist that Lombardi. So I get it. If it was me, you got to put emotions aside and look at it as a business. Why would you bench somebody who went 7-0? That's what it comes down to. However, just have an open mind to other options. You know what I'm saying? Before I get out of here, Breezy, I know we talked about the drops and stuff like that. I really like Cameron Latu. You know, he's been struggling, but they say he's beaten. You know, he's beating his man. He has no problem getting open.
He can get open, bro.
He can get open. Just can't catch the ball. I'm hoping it's the same thing that happened with Jamar Chase a couple years ago. Remember Jamar Chase? Joe Burrow was throwing him on the money. He was dropping balls left and right, and he was like, "Man, the way the ball's coming at me just looks different," or whatever the case may be. Like it was just, I forgot his exact wording, but he was struggling. Everybody was like, "Oh, top 5 pick, and you're dropping balls." I'm not saying Cameron Latu's on that level. I'm just saying Jamar Chase was dropping a lot of balls in camp, and then when he started as a rookie, he cleaned that up, and he's been amazing since. So hopefully Cameron Latu has some kind of success where he's struggling right now. That was his cartoon. My kids are older now. That was his cartoon I used to play. They used to sing this song, "Let's Get the Sillies Out." I don't know if you remember that song. Let's get the sillies out. I think it was Yo Gabba Gabba or something, one of those songs. Anyway, but the fact that let's get the sillies out now, and then get serious when it's time for September 10th to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So
yeah,
because he might have to be tight end 1 depending on what's going on with Kittle. So
yeah, Kittle has the adductor strain, and we don't know if it's a nagging injury. So we'll have to keep word on that. It's gonna be interesting to see what the 49ers have to do if Kittle isn't good to go. But he makes the team. He makes the roster. Both rookies make the roster
for sure.
And then it's Charlie Warner over Dwelly. Like that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, that's one thing about this regime. Even if you're struggling, they're going to give you at least 2 years. They want to see what they can do. They're not going to be like, "Oh, I drafted you 4 months ago and now you're gone," unless you're just terrible. Cameron Latu was a pretty high pick. I don't think he's going anywhere. It's just some stuff. Yeah, just some stuff he needs to clean up. I mean, look at our boy Ambry Thomas going into his 3rd year and he's struggling. I mean, there's certain things. They gave Trey Sermon 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. I don't think that he's going anywhere. But yeah, appreciate you having me on, though, Breeze. I know you're trying to get up out of here. I feel like I've been on here long enough. So
it's all good, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you,
man.
Bro.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Take care.
Peace. Marcus, I see you back there. I'm assuming you're just going to speak because I don't see a picture, so I'm going to bring you on. Marcus, what's going on? Mr. Ford in the building? I know you were waiting a little long. If not, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my man, the one and only Mr. Culp. All right, Marcus, stay there in the queue. All right, Bryant, let's go. Let's close this out, baby.
Hey, man, thank you very much for having me on. And just
Anytime.
like what the show said, you do it and you bring people on. First off, your platform's big and a lot of people like listening to you. You're not one-sided. You can see a lot of people's opinions, and it might not necessarily be your opinion, but you take your fanhood and your heart out of it sometimes when you're looking at these stuff and you're seeing it from, the overall, the whole perspective. And I know quarterbacks and everything is the biggest topic ever. And I know a lot of people are upset. We've been upset with Jimmy since he lost the Super Bowl. And we've been trying to move off of him. And I think the whole thing is this regime, we have Kyle and John, and we've had opportunities to get people like Aaron Rodgers or, other other veterans out there. Tom Brady. We've had opportunities to get somebody, but we don't want to win like that. And a lot of the fan base doesn't want to win like that either. We don't want a veteran quarterback coming in from another team because we want our homegrown guy. You know, we want somebody that we molded and folded and put out there. And if you look at like somebody like Alex Smith, I know there is a lot of fans out there that really like Alex Smith, but his first couple of years wanted him off the team so bad. They got mad at, you know, just as soon as Aaron Rodgers started winning, it was all downhill from that. And with as many coordinators as he had, as many coaches, and then we finally get to a point where he becomes relevant and he gets hurt and he lost his job. Nobody wanted to go back to go to Alex after Kaepernick started winning. When, you know, we tied that game, the concussion game where he got hurt, we tied it. But the next game, Kaepernick came out, just tore up the Bears, and then we went to the Super Bowl, 13-3, I think that year. That 13-3-1, or it was something like that, 12-3-1. So, you know, my point is every year we should have competition. We brought Steve Young so he could compete against Joe Montana. Joe Montana kept getting hurt, and that's why we were moving off of Joe Montana. At the time, nobody really knew who Steve Young was, and we got lucky. But he was I don't think he was a first-round pick, but I know he was supposed to go to the Bengals, number 1. Then he went to the USFL, played for the LA Express, and then he came back into the league and he went to the Buccaneers. And he was horrible there for a couple of years.
He was horrible when he came to San Francisco too. Like,
yes,
let's not keep it a buck. I remember I wanted Bono in there over Steve Young, and Bono was our third string. But you're right. When Steve Young got into his groove, when he finally came, and you know what? I wonder how much of that was just the shadow of Joe Montana. Not a shadow, because Joe Montana was still here. I wonder if that played a big role, because the first thing Steve Young did when they won the Super Bowl was he asked them to take the monkey off his back. Like, you can tell that being under a great regime with that type of what's the word? It was heavy on him, and he had to kind of like live up to what Joe Montana did. And when Walsh decided to go with Young over Montana, I don't think he was comfortable with that situation, and it could be why he played bad. Not an excuse, but he wasn't good at first.
And I kind of think it wasn't really even Walsh's choice or one he wanted to make, because he retired after 3 Super Bowls.
That's
George
right.
Seifert came in, and you know, he won. And
Walsh was Walsh.
He was,
I thought Walsh got him in here though. Walsh didn't get Young in here.
Walsh did get us in. He got us in, and then he left after the third Super Bowl, and then Joe won the 4th.
Saying, I know you know that saying. Walsh says, "What is it about the get rid of him? Get rid of the guy." Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah.
It's very horrible, and fans don't like to see it.
Right?
You fall in love with a player, and you want to see him retire a Niner, but we let you go a little bit earlier before you're not valuable, or you're not, you know, able to perform the way you used to. And if we can get some kind of trade value out of you, then we're going to do that, because at the end, we are family, but this is also a business decision, you know, and it could be beneficial for you or the team. So sometimes, you know, like, look at Jerry Rice. We didn't want to see him lose him or leave. And he goes to the Raiders. He almost won a Super Bowl. You think he would have really been upset, you know, winning the Super Bowl? I think he's upset now losing the Super Bowl. But if he had another one on his hand and it was an Oakland Raiders, I don't think that would make him, you know, sad. I think he'd be proud of his career. But my point is you kind of nailed it. And that's why I really do like listening to you, because you talk and you tell the whole story. Last year, Jimmy Garoppolo was supposed to be off the team. Everybody was saying, you know, he's gone. I was telling everybody, I'll bet you a Subway sandwich he'll still be here. Everybody got a kick out of that, right?
That's a good one, because he did the commercial last year. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I kept going to the Subway and telling people, you know, if you tell the person at the counter, you know, you want your sub toasted, you know, they'll give you, you know, they'll cut your sandwich in half, and then they'll look at you and say, that's right, because his contract's toasted, right? So, you know, again, he was supposed to be gone. There was no quarterback competition last year. No one's mad about that. But this year, they're saying that there's no quarterback competition, and everybody seems to be mad. I'm not saying that there shouldn't. I think every year should be a competition. Even if you win the Super Bowl, the next year you're going to walk into camp, out of weight, you get paid the money, Debo, and then you can't perform? I mean, like, you got to come into shape every year willing to do your job, or somebody will replace you. Even if you're just, you know, working like I do, painting apartments. If I'm not painting right, they're going to get somebody else in there. And I'm not going to have competition. They're just going to tap me on my shoulder and say, Brent, you're not performing. Get out of here. So again, it's if Trey Lance is our guy, he's our guy. If Brock's our guy, he's our guy. If Sam Darnold, I can't make that decision. You can't make that decision. The coaches are the ones that are seeing what's going on in the locker room and the coaching room on the practice field. We're only getting snip clips of stuff. And if the coach is telling them throw it this place, and then they're not performing, how are you going to feel comfortable being the coach and go into the game and be like, I can depend on this guy to give me 5 yards. I can do this. And then the sad thing is we want him to be a quarterback, right? How'd Trey Lance get hurt? He ran out of the pocket. How'd Jimmy Garoppolo get hurt? He ran out of the pocket. How'd Brock Purdy get hurt? He stood in the pocket. He was in the pocket and he got hit. So, it's weird. We want our guys to be successful and healthy out there, but we all just want another Super Bowl.
That's it.
After
That's
several people, they said it. Yeah, they said it. Trey Lance, king of the NFC West, and Sir Lance, NFC West, and I'm like, he hasn't won anything. How can you crown the guy yet? Brock Purdy hasn't won anything. How can you crown him? And it's sad because the fan base is divided, and we have half the people saying, I heard people say, if we would have won a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, it would have been a waste. How is it a waste? We got a Super Bowl. And then people say, if we still get to the Super Bowl with Trey Lance and we lose, I'd rather lose with Trey Lance than what? You're not a 49er fan. You're an individual who likes an individual player. And I remember so many people leaving the 49ers when T.O. left, and they started rooting for the Eagles, and then they started rooting for the Cowboys. And they're like, I'm a T.O. fan. Well, obviously you are, because you're not sticking with the 49ers. So, at the end of the day, I rooted for Tim Rattay when he was out there. I didn't want him out there, but I rooted for him. And, that's why I tell everybody, I know people think it's funny. It's about the kicker, man. At the end of the day, the kicker goes out there and he wins the game.
Yes, sir.
If he kicks and he puts it up and goes through the upright, he's a hero, right? But when he loses and he misses, then we don't want him on our team anymore. So thank you again, Wayne, for having me on.
Appreciate
Everybody stay faithful. It's Moody season. Remember, it's Moody season.
I got you.
And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much,
brother. Thanks for jumping on. 100% correct. It's about the kicker. At the end of the day, as long as the Niners can get the ball, I would say to that 45 hash mark. What's that? A 50, almost 60-yard field goal. I'm good. Like, we can score every time. Every single freaking time. Marcus, let me know if you're ready to come in. You'll end the show before you jump on. Once I see your camera come back on, I'll bring you on. Great callers. Round of applause there, everybody. There he is. Let's get him on right now. All right, Marcus, what's going on, fam? You're on mute, bro. I think you got to take yourself off mute. I got you.
No, you got me.
I got you, bro. Everything's good, man.
Brother? Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you having me on, kid.
Anytime, fam. Anytime, man.
Man.
Hey, man, talk about your Niners, baby.
Man, where do I start? I mean, for me, the Niners, the quarterback situation is giving me pause. I'm almost not wanting to watch the season because I'm like, what are we doing? For real, what are we doing? Because I'm like, I get Brock Purdy played well, but we gave up so much capital to get Trey Lance. I'm like, can we at least see what's going on? Show me, do something. I don't understand, Kyle. Help me out, big dog.
Yeah, it's for Trey, in my opinion, he's in an unfortunate situation. It just probably would never, ever, ever, ever happen to any other team than the San Francisco 49ers. Because if Trey Lance was on any other team, no 7th-round draft pick quarterback would be performing as well as Brock Purdy did, right? And so this will never, ever happen to him anywhere else. But in San Francisco, they drafted this kid named Brock Purdy. He was just given an opportunity. The season should have been done. Your 3rd-string quarterback comes in and you go to the NFC Championship game. You got to think about that first and foremost. Okay. Try to separate everything else because that's what actually happened. That, my friend, was the reality, and it sucks because Trey Lance, yes, you gave up the capital for him, but I will say this. At the end of the day, we're paying pennies for a quarterback room. and it's not a lot of money. None of these quarterbacks, they're still on their rookie contracts. And you know what that means? It means you can keep stacking this team and keeping that window there open to keep some of these players and sign some of these players to these contracts. Because Brandon Ayuk is next year, and then it's Trey Lance, right? And so like that's a good thing. So I think for me, all I care about is Trey Lance improving, Trey Lance showing that he can continue to stack days and get better. And when his opportunity is called, he goes out there and shuts everybody up. Not the faithful, but the national media. That's the first people I want him to shut up, because they are the reasons why we're like the way we are. They're painting that agenda to where, oh, he gave up all these draft picks. Guess what? That's what you do when you're trying to get cheap in a room so you can sign Trent, Debo, and all these other players you want to sign to these longer contracts. So you got to get cheap at that room. Whereas all these other teams, they're spending money on the quarterbacks. You think Cincinnati's going to be around for a long time? They just paid Joe Burrow. You think the Chargers are going to be around for a long time? They're going to start having casualties. They're going to have to start cutting players because they're paying their quarterback. We don't have to worry about that for the next couple of years. So that's a good thing.
Okay, see, in that perspective, I'm like, I understand it, because I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
But it still sucks. Don't get it twisted. I want Trey Lance to play, period. I think he could do some damage to the NFL, not just to the teams we play, to the whole NFL. I just don't think the NFL wants Kyle to crack open that book yet. I really think they're putting a halt on that book. That's my conspiracy, and I'm sticking to it.
So you feel like that's Kyle's back pocket right there?
That's the back. You know what I'm saying? Yo, like side pocket in the treasure chest. Like he's not.
So he
notice
can't
how
get too excited right now because then he's gonna show his hand.
Why? So let me ask you this question: why hasn't Kyle Shanahan really showed what Trey Lance could do when he put him in the game, when he actually started and when he played football? Why didn't we see the Trey Lance, the dynamic kid we saw in college? Why wasn't none of that? He don't want the NFL to know yet.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. That makes a lot of sense.
And now he's giving more
question his game plan. I'm like,
Mark, he's giving more time because what Brock did. So now he can keep sharpening that tool, sculpting the piece.
Hey, Breezie, you bringing it home for me right now.
That's just my theory. I know people gonna be like, Breezie crazy, man.
No, but that makes a lot of sense, because it's like the more time he does have to develop. Because you look at this year with him fixing his mechanics, I'm like, man, that dude looking serious out there. I'm like, he dropping dots on just about everywhere on the field. So I'm like, yo, we need that on the field. But then I get it, like Aaron Rodgers, you let him season a little more, then you got
and Aaron. So the difference between Trey and Aaron hated it. Aaron was ready to start rookie season, which he really wasn't. If Aaron Rodgers would have started his rookie season, he would have been trash.
I think so too. Because he was too much of a gunslinger, so I think he would have been too arrogant about how he was throwing. So
he was already causing controversy. We got a well-spoken young man in the organization that speaks well in the public, that doesn't cause any type of controversy, doesn't store up any types of messages, that says all the right things, and now is performing well. We in practice. We owe Trey Lance a round of applause.
Correct. That was real. I'm like, okay. Now I'm more excited about the season again, because I'm like, oh man, my young dude out there, he giving it his all, and it just seemed like he just keep tossed to the side. But then it all might be a ploy, like you said, for when they really let him loose. They like, hey man, y'all thought we was a buzz, but we got the real deal. So I get it.
Just try to hold on to that optimism a little bit. Like, Trey Lance is special. And
I appreciate that.
The thing is, when do you bring out the special weapon? When do you bring out the special?
Yeah, because now you got BIU. He going crazy. I'm like, man, because
you already know they have a chemistry because they worked all offseason last year.
That's why I was thinking about it together, because I'm like, you think about it, 5'6" equals 11. Yeah, that's Trey to Ayuk all day. So
ooh, I like that. Ooh, 11 shirts. Ooh.
Come on.
Oh, I got to give you credit for that. Ooh. Oh, man, that's dope, man.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I was trying to be doing all season. I'm like, man, Oh, that's
I do.
tricky.
But now we could do 11 to 13 to 11, and we could create shirts that say 24 on it, like the TV show 24. If anybody take that idea, I'm coming for you. Real talk, no cap, 100%.
For real, we out here with
We
that.
out here. We out here. Just letting y'all know. If I see a 24 shirt out there, Breezie coming, yo. And I travel, so don't get it twisted.
That's what's up, baby. That's
Listen,
what's up.
Marcus, I got to jump up out of here. But listen, I appreciate you for jumping on the show, man.
Definitely appreciate you too, fam. Have a great one, and you the best, bro.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. You
Yes,
too.
sir.
That was fun. That was fun. If I see anybody with a 24 shirt on, just know I got goons from state to state. Just know. Just know. All right, man. Thank everybody for calling in, man. I truly appreciate the love. I'm going to jump off here in a couple of minutes. I think Steph is live right now, so make sure you check out her podcast. If I'm not mistaken, she has a live show that's going on right now. She's recapping the training camp with an actual Raiders content creator or whatnot, so make sure you jump on over there. But before we get out of here, man, I definitely want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm going to end the poll as of right now. Also, let me just check to make sure I didn't miss any contributions because, you know, I hate that, and I did. So my man Sean is back in the building. He says there's something more than we are seeing. Maybe it's the team's buy-in. Who knows? But this national I didn't even read your comment. This national narrative that he could be traded if he does well. Trey is coming for someone in the know. Like that's exactly what I'm talking about, bro. Like it's the national narrative that's crazy right now. A couple of questions I would like to address before I get to the poll question. My man Ronnie Montoya says, Breezie, who has surprised you the most so far, good or bad? I don't really like the focus on the bad. Like if I would say like trending down, but I really don't see too many players trending downwards as of right now. I do see opportunities opening up, fam. But right now, just these rookies and Chris Conley. I think Chris Conley, a lot of people are forgetting about him. He might be that savvy vet that steps into that role. And he doesn't play the same role as Ray McCloud, so it's going to be interesting. But that wide receiver position is going to be crazy when it comes to making the cuts. But Chris Conley, Ronnie Bell, TDP, the offense just seems to be trending upwards. Now, can they finish practice? Let's see what they can do in the preseason game. I think that's going to be cool. Flow Right Plumbing, my man Andy Smith says, how do you justify sitting $10 million on the bench? I mean, I don't know if you can justify it, but they can afford to do it because they're only spending $10.7 million. And well, you know what? Let me add in 3 more. They're only spending $13.7 million on the whole room. So for me, that's how I'm justifying it. And I think maybe that's how the Niners are justifying it because Brock Purdy only, 700,000, if that? He's not even making $1 million. And then I think Sam Darnold is making $2 to $3 million. So you justify it because of that. Like that's you put it together, you're not spending much. Like you're just not. And Kali, look, Wayne freestyles that answer. I never said I had the answers. I started this junk off with my conspiracy, but that's just my thoughts. Like, those are my thoughts. That's how I feel about it. Like, I just feel like Trey is special. Kyle continues to shape and mold him in the way that he feels he can do. He has time. Brock Purdy's buying him some more time. If Brock Purdy wasn't here, Trey Lance be out there, he'd be starting. And he'd be the number 1 quarterback, and then whoever they brought in here will be competing for number 2 and number 3. Like, that's just how it is. That's how he has been since Kyle's been bringing quarterbacks. And like, if you're the starting guy, you're the guy that's going to go out there and get the reps. We're going to figure out all the other stuff. But listen, just to finish off today, quick recap, man. The quarterback stats and 11 on 11s. Interesting, Trey only had 5 reps today. He went 1 for 2 passing. This is all according to Matt Mayoko. Sam Darnold in his 11 on 11 reps, he had 4 reps, and he went 3 of 3. So Sam Darnold was 100%. But good news is, this is lately, Brandon Allen has been stacking days of not participating. All right. Of not getting any reps. Second day in a row, didn't get any reps. I wonder if Brandon Allen even plays in the first preseason game. It's going to be interesting. Make sure you keep your eye on that, all right? I wonder if he even plays in the preseason game. He got 0 reps in both practices. It's going to be interesting to find out. to see see what happens with Brandon Allen. But Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, so together they had 9 reps. They had 9. Brock Purdy was getting it in. Now, again, Trey Lance and Sam Darnold are going to be the quarterbacks that are utilized in the first preseason game. Kyle Shanahan made it clear that he doesn't like to start starters in the first preseason game, which let me know that we talked about this on the last show, that our boy was going to be quarterback 1. Like he said he doesn't like to start starters, and the question was about Brock, and so there you have it. All right, so look, it is what it is. Let's get to the poll question. All right. Interesting. The results. I said, what do the 49ers need to look to improve on day 2? Now, listen, make sure you like this podcast. Make sure you like the show. If you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you go ahead and give a nice, good rate, and 5 stars to be exact. You know what I'm saying? Also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you love what you love right here with your boy Wayne Breezie, click that join button. Become a member of the Breezie's Bunch. All right, 51% of you said less drops. Interesting, because I haven't heard any reports of any drops. Any reports of any drops as of right now. Sure, there'll be some out there over this weekend, so stick around for that. 24% said interceptions, 15% said touchdowns, which went up, and 8% says sacks, or would be sacks. All right. So look, man, great show. Hope you guys had a great time. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys have been amazing. Shout out to everybody that came on to join the joint. I truly appreciate you for rocking out with your boy Breezie. Until the next time, y'all stay up, stay faithful. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. You dig? And always, and I mean always, keep it nitty gritty. Thanks for watching. Peace.
I be sipping gold bar, whiskey on the rocks, and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. Wayne Breezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. Wayne Breezie, the 4-9 preacher.